Chapter 21. Amelia. The rest of the week flew by like a breeze. I am currently spending the weekend with my parents, away from that house that's only full of lies and deceits. It hurts even more that I am about to deliver a child into such an environment. Not being able to catch any more sleep with my thoughts lingering around, I got down from the bed and made my way firstly to the bathroom to freshen up before heading downstairs to the kitchen. I could already perceive the smell of fresh homemade pancakes as I strode down the stairs. Wrapping my hand tightly around my body, I entered. My mother had her face turned to the sink while she washed the dirty dishes. She had her super mama prawn on. Her hair was pinned back into a loose knot on her neck. A smile appeared on my face as I leaned on the doorway with my arm crossed. I miss when this was the simplicity of my life, happening to wake up every morning to the smell of pancakes or scrambled eggs. She turns to me looking startled. "Honey, are you okay?" she asks. I nodded. "I just missed home, that's all," I said while walking to the table. I pulled out a chair and sat down watching her carefully. "Where's Dad? I feel like I've barely seen him since I got here. Is everything okay?" He left early for work, something about an emergency, and no need to worry, everything is okay," she said. Something was definitely wrong, but I decided not to push it any further. "I made your favorite strawberry pancake." She walked to the pan and dished out the delicious-looking pancakes on a plate. "I definitely missed this," I said with a grin as she placed them in front of me. As I dug on my pancakes, she pulled out a chair and sat beside me. I could feel her curious eyes piercing through me as I ate. I gulped, worried she might have figured me out, because I am definitely not doing a good job at hiding it. "You seem different." She finally speaks up. "I am screwed. PSSSS mom." "Different how?" I let out dryly. "I mean, your face looks puffier, your breasts are a lot bigger now," she said, and I cut in before she could continue. "I know, I am getting fatter mom, no need to rub it in." I shot, pretending to be mad. "I will try and hit the gym later." "Good, if I didn't know better, I would have assumed you're pregnant, pero sa que mi hija nunca me mentira," she said, making me almost choke on my pancake. "Easy hun," she said, reaching out and handing me a glass of water. "Thanks, Mom." I took it from her and gulped it one sip, feeling ashamed that I have to lie to my mother. I was never the child to lie to my parents, especially my mother. She's always been the one parent I could always look up to when I had a problem or an issue I needed to get off my chest. "So, what have I missed?" I asked, all of a sudden changing the topic. She starts with explaining how they had tried to manage while I was away and how the first check I sent over had helped with almost everything. I felt a genuine smile appear on my face, making the guilt I feel inside all worth it. You've a visitor," my brother shouted from the other side of the room. She raises an eyebrow at me. "Are you expecting anyone?" she asks. "Not that I know of," I replied, striding towards the door. "He said it's important," Jason says, making way for me to see who it is. "William," I let out, confused. "Williams happens to be the Gray's personal guard. Is something wrong?" I asked. "Mrs. Gray requested I escort you back to the mansion immediately," he said. "Wait, what? But my weekend off isn't over until tomorrow," my mother interrupted behind. "Mija, what's going on? Who's this gentleman?" she asks. Just when I thought I am getting one free weekend away from my problems, they come knocking. I turned to her, half smiling. "This is the Gray's personal guard, William. He's here to inform me that Mrs. Gray needs my presence urgently in the office." "Is everything okay?" she asks him worriedly. William simply nods at her. "Does this mean you're leaving?" she asked sadly. I nodded, feeling guilty. "I am sorry, Mom," I let out, but surprisingly she puts her a. Chapter 22. Amelia. Apparently, Mrs. Gray wasn't kidding about the whole moving to a safe house thing, because I am currently in a car with 2 guards heading to God knows where. No one is saying anything to me. For all I know, I could be heading straight to a trap. I leaned my head against the chair, waiting for the worst. What could be worse than spending 2 weeks and 7 months alone in a house with Damien, the most bipolar person on earth? Literally. A few hours later. "Amelia. Amelia. Wake up." I feel someone shaking my shoulder. I fluttered my eyes open to see one of the guards, Alex, looking at me. "We have arrived," he says, helping me get down from the car. I got down looking around. The safe house looks like nothing I had imagined. It resembled one of those houses rich people buy when they get paranoid about having too much money. It's like a fortress, tall gates with more security gadgets than a military compound. Perhaps behind those yellow bricks, they feel safe from harm, but I can't help think they've only built themselves a beautiful prison. My life couldn't get any worse than this. Come on, let me show you to your room, Alex said, gesturing me inside. I nodded and followed inside, feeling like I am being escorted to my cell. You will definitely love it here, he said, with some other bunch of things I wasn't paying attention to. He entered the house. It looks a lot cozier from the inside, almost making you forget what the house looks like. Alex clutched to my bags as we climbed up the stairs. Where we go? He said, stopping in front of a modern wooden door, right next to Damien's. He muttered under his breath and I took my eyes to it. It's gray and intimidating just like him. Alex was finally able to get the door open and we stepped in. I looked around with a grunt. The room is uncomfortably large. It reminds me of a hotel foyer, not just in the space but in the artwork too. I will be taking my leave now. If you need anything, there's a lady called Susan downstairs. She's the maid and as well a nurse. She's here to provide you both with everything you might need, he said, and I nodded understanding. Thank you, Alex, I said. He smiled at me before walking out the door, leaving me alone to my fate. I scanned the room, searching for a personal touch, something that doesn't say a personal designer chose it. But I found nothing. This definitely feels like a cell. Feeling tired and exhausted, I walked over to the bed and threw myself wishfully on it with outstretched arms and zooming of instantly. I woke the next morning to soft sheets, and the morning light trickling in through the blinds. Shedding off the remaining glimpse of sleep, my eyes were still shut as I soaked in the warmth of my covers before letting my blue eyes see the sun's rays. I sit up straight and drag my feet off the bed, rubbing my knuckles into my eyes. I stretch my arms above my head and yawn hungrily. I stand up from the bed, make it out the door, trying to find my way to the kitchen. The house is enormous. I think I might be lost now. Suddenly a woman walks by, catching my attention. I decided to call her. Excuse me. She turns, her mouth shaping into a smile. You must be Amelia, she asks, moving towards me. I simply nod. I am Susan, the cook of this lovely home. I was actually on my way to call you down for breakfast. I smile, now feeling smitten by her. She looks in her 30s or maybe older. I kind of lost my way, I said, a little embarrassed. She chuckles. It's normal, child. 35 years of working in this house and I still get lost sometimes, she said. Come on, it's this way, she says, gesturing towards a door. I nod and follow her behind. We enter into a kitchen and she turns to me. Help yourself with a box of cereal, dear. I will be right back, she said, and left the room. I took my eyes around the kitchen. It's a grand space, to say the least. I took my eyes to the huge mahogany table that took up most of the vast space and felt a slight shiver pass down my spine as I sighted Damien sitting comfortably while clinging to. Chapter 23. Amelia. After the heated argument, we spent the rest of that day avoiding each other, which was fine by me, but now I am slowly dying of boredom. Feeling hungry as my stomach began to ramble, I headed over to the kitchen to find something to eat. You look tired, Susan said with a smile as she sees me enter the kitchen. More like I am losing it, I whisper, pulling out a chair. What's for dinner? I was thinking I would ask you two first, she says, and an excellent idea came to mind. Do you mind if I do the cooking myself today? It's been long since I cooked a meal. Of course, she said, sounding relieved. What do you have in mind? She asks. Pasta. Good, and I would be outside watering the flowers if you need anything. She smiles and left me alone. As soon as she left, I reached out to the drawers and gathered all the ingredients required to make a delicious pasta, and I got myself cooking. Few minutes later, I was adding the sauce to the boiling pasta, when I heard footsteps and the sound of a walking stick colliding against the tiles. I didn't need a genius to tell me who it was. I just focused on turning my pasta, ignoring him. I heard the sound of the chair moving, indicating he was trying to sit. I would have helped if he wasn't such an ass. What are you making? He speaks up after a while. It's none of your business, I shot back, I thought we agreed to stay out of each other's way. I reminded him. Can I have some? He asks, completely ignoring my statement. No. I shot, serving myself some pasta. I sat on the kitchen island and dug onto my heavenly delicious pasta. Are you actually denying a blind my food? What has become of you, Amelia? My annoying conscience scolded me. I shrugged it off and continued digging into my pasta. Don't be so selfish, he probably hasn't eaten all day. Fine. I yelled out frustratedly, dropping my fork. I walked back to the pot and dished out another plate of pasta and placed it in front of him. Enjoy. I spat, my voice dripping with sarcasm. A smirk appeared on his face. I knew you would come around. I rolled my eyes at his statement. Taste good. He moans. It's safe to say that I am currently staring at him in shock, wondering how one person could be so bipolar. Maybe he's suffering from a multiple personality disorder. That pretty much explains it. Shrugging it off, I pulled out a chair and continue with my delicious pasta like nothing else mattered. So, are you and Lucas a thing now? He asks out of the blue. That shouldn't be any of your concern. I shot back quite harshly. Actually it is, since you're probably carrying my child. On hearing those words I snapped. Are you for real right now? He cut in before I could slash my anger on him. All I am saying is, I don't want you two having sex him on my baby. What I do with life is none of your goddamn business, and this child, like you said, is probably not even yours. He snorts decisively like he finds my claim assuming. Just don't have sex with him yet. I don't want my child turning out to look like him or having that ugly forehead of his. Rather him than you. You know what? He snaps. I forbid you from seeing him or anyone else until the baby is born. I scoff shockingly. You forbid me? Yes. You forbid me? What are you, the godfather? You have no right to forbid me to do anything. Just because I am carrying your child doesn't mean you own me or anything. You signed the agreement, Amelia. I cut in, with Mrs. Gray and not you. Few hours ago you didn't even want anything to do with the child, and now you're laying fatherly claims to it. Why's that? Because you. He starts but cut himself with a loud groan. I just don't want him or anyone boy around you until the baby is born, and that's final. He says, and before I could throw him a piece of my mind, Susan walks back in with a clueless smile on my face. Oh, good, you've eaten. She says to him, it's time for your medication. She said, handing him his walking stick while trying to help him up. Don't touch me. He snaps, shoving her off rudely.